In this video, we'll be defining domain and range and give an example of how we can write domain and range as well. Now, the domain of a function is all the possible outputs or inputs that I can throw into this machine. So if I said like x is 5, throw in there, it does something, blah, 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 and it spits out some number. So there are situations where I might put something in and it doesn't spit something out, so we'd have to take that out of our domain. The range of a function is all the possible outputs. So what is this machine actually spitting out? So what I'm going to look at first is why wouldn't there be an output? Why would there be something in here that it doesn't spit out an output? So there are some rules to math that we need to follow, and there are some rules that we can't break. So for example, I'm sure you've heard this one before, that we can't divide by 0. That if I have some number 5, I can't divide 5 into 0 equal pieces. That just doesn't make sense logically and mathematically. Taking the square root of a negative number. Well, the square root of a negative. Square root is finding a number that multiplied by itself should equal negative 10. Well, positive times a negative times a negative, it just doesn't work. So if our function has a square root or our function has a division, we need to be looking out for those rules. So I have an example here of one of those square roots. Now my technique for finding domain and range is like a little scanner. So this vertical line here will help me find domain, and this horizontal line will help me find range. Now domain, again, is all the x values that produce a y value. So if I look at all these x values, I just want to see if it's making a dot on the graph. So I scan left to right, and it's going to beep anytime it's touching the graph. So here we go. Beep, 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 and so on and so forth, all the way to the right. So what I'm really doing with the scanner is just figuring out, okay, when does it start hitting the graph? What's that first x value that actually spits something out? So if I look at my scanner, that first dot there is an x value of negative 2. So I'm trying to determine or compare x with negative 2. And if I scan across again, I'm just looking, well, all the x's that are bigger than negative 2 or greater than negative 2 are hitting that graph. So my domain for this function is x is greater than or equal to negative 2. I can check the equal to in my actual function. Again, if this is my machine, I would plug in negative 2. I get the square root of 0 minus 3 is negative 3. It does have an output there. I switch my scanner for range to go from bottom to top. So in this case, it would beep anytime it's still on the graph. So I'm not beeping. Beep, 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 and even up here. And this is where sometimes domain and range is a little tough, because we have to think infinitely. Like this is going to keep going over to the right in positive x's, and it's just going to keep creeping up in the y's, but eventually that y value will be made. So my range for this one is all the y's that are greater than or equal to, because they're above this first value when it starts beeping. So this coordinate right here is negative 2, negative 3. As we go in the course, we'll see why it's actually at that point. You can use a calculator at this point to find that, but that's a great indicator to say, oop, starts there, and everything above it is a y output. Check out the other videos of the examples for domain and range to get more practice.